gal, not able to make it tonight. Stepdaughter graduation, so excited there. So he's there, and but I think we're gonna talk about a conspiracy tonight, like we typically do on our Wednesdays. Or actually, I don't even know if it's a conspiracy to be honest with you, because tonight's agenda has kind of been left open. But Troy's got something that he wants to talk about, but I don't even know what it is yet. He wanted the reaction to be authentic since we are live. So go
I
ahead, Troy,
want all
kick
the
it off.
smoke.
Yeah. So whatever it is, I'm gonna pass it over to you. Let us know what we're talking about tonight, and whatever it is, you're gonna share with me.
Yep, I wanted this to be, for the most part, we usually kind of plan our shows and I'm like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about from step to step to step. But sometimes you just have those free for all shows, where you just go live and you're just like, let's just talk about with whatever kind of comes up to our minds or what we've been seeing without discussing about it because it's more authentic, right? So anybody that is watching, which who fucking knows? Tell me I'm crazy for this because I didn't make this shit up for what I'm about to share. Okay, I did not make this up. I don't know if this is confirmed. I highly doubt it's confirmed because of how big of a deal it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here for a second. So we're gonna troll here on X, and we're gonna go over some stuff that you see on X, and it's it's a little out there. It's a little out there, and for some reason, when I'm trying to share this, it's not letting me. So give me a second while I try to get this figured out. Let me see. Yeah, it's so weird. It's not letting me share this, but
I think I can share. Do you want to send it to me? Whatever it is.
glad glad we're live, so we don't have to have bad content on my end and then fucking upload this. Um,
Do you want to just send it to me? I think I could probably share it.
I more so searched it up on X
Okay.
and like in the search engine, and then I just had like a whole like news feed of the search. So if you go to X,
Okay.
I'm
I'm
not
there.
sure if you're able to
Yep.
pull
I'm
that
there.
up. Okay. Type in the search engine alien hybrid four types.
Oh, I think I've seen something about this.
Yep.
Okay. Alien hybrid four types. Is it one of the top posts?
It should be. The one I'm looking at is by Debla. I'm not sure, but there's like a picture of the four apparent types of what they look like and what they're called. Um, Not sure if that's what you're getting on X right now,
Let's
but
see. Oh, is it like a Riverside issue? Is that why you weren't able to share it? No, it's working for me. Never mind. So this is what you're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So apparently these are the four different types of alien hybrids. I mean, they've talked about this for a while, right? They've said that they've got the grays, the reptilians. I think these are the tall whites. I'm not sure what these guys are, but
So those that praying mantis thing is exactly what it is. It says it's a mantis parentheses insects cricket like, and then this thing that kind of looks like a character from the Lord of the Rings is Nordic type.
yeah, this is the one that I've seen conspiracies around World War II and like Germany, and the reason that they believed like blonde hair, blue eyes was like the master race had to do with aliens. Obviously, that's just some conspiracy I read a long time ago, but I mean, you could probably look that up. But that's interesting because like we've heard about that before. This is obviously the typical like alien that everyone describes, right? And then you got your
Yep.
reptilian. That's I mean, David Icke was probably the first person talking about reptilians in his books back in the day, right? In the early 2000s. Maybe even late 90s, I don't know. Could have been even then, but I know he was the one that was on the whole, hey. And the reason I believe this is because I remember reading like a book of his on 9/11, which laid out the conspiracy. But like towards the end, it took a turn, and it was like, oh yeah, and everyone that's controlling our government's a bunch of reptilians disguised as humans or something like that, and I was like, what the hell? But as I got older, I'm like, oh, there actually might be more legitimacy to that than we know, you know. But so it's kind of a vague thought. But David Icke was the first one talking about reptilians.
And if there are people watching, just to kind of follow up, like if you're not sure what an alien hybrid is, it's exactly that. It's essentially humans breeding with aliens. Is I guess that in a nutshell. I'm sure we could go deep dive. You could do a deeper dive onto what exactly it is, but essentially that is what it is. Is instead of humans breeding with other humans, it's humans breeding with an already established 100% alien, and apparently, like what Alex said on our last episode doing this, a conspiracy pod, was that they may already be here, and what he means by that is, I'm sure, I actually just saw it today. There's a photo of Katy Perry, and there's multiple videos that you can find of Katy Perry doing, like, you see what a lizard does with its throat when it's like boom, 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 boom. Like I can't do it because I'm not an alien. I would love to be able to show you how to freaking do it, but that's just something I can't do. If you're gonna tell me that that's not an alien, okay, that's fine. Most people would probably believe you. But if that's not an alien, what the hell is she doing? And what the hell are other people doing by doing that same exact thing with their throat? Like it's so weird. It's crazy to me.
So you think Katy Perry's an alien?
Dude, she's either that or she's the throat goat.
Listen, see there, I'm leaning more towards that, honestly. But
the latter, okay,
yeah. But hey, but listen, I mean, yeah, this is who I was trying to find. So, Troy, are you familiar with Paul Hellyer?
I'm not.
So Paul Hellyer. Oh, oops. I started to get a random noise in my headphones, but it was because I had just pulled up Paul Hellyer. So, and a video started playing on Twitter. So if you look up who Paul Hellyer was, Helyer, he was one of the first people to come out and start talking about the different species of aliens. So if you were to type in Paul Hellyer aliens, probably find it. Yeah. He was actually talking about how apparently there was like 9, but and just to give some context on who this guy is he was the former Minister of National Defense for Canada, right? So obviously, like that would, I mean, when you're in charge of the national defense for any country, you're probably going to have some intel on stuff that's going on.
You're gonna have some skeletons in your closet, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Obviously, it's not the same as the U.S., but you got to imagine Canada is a very well-developed nation. You got to imagine they've got a great, they've got great intel when it comes to this stuff, or at the very least, you can't just dismiss it. So I don't know, and I mean, I'm trying to find a good old video from Paul Hellyer from back in the day because, like, he was one of the first people to come out and talk all about the alien agenda and how there were already aliens present on Earth. I mean, he was one of these first, I would say, whistleblowers that had credibility, to where he was in a position to where you'd be like, dude, if there's anyone that's going to know, it's not going to be just some random ass scientist that claims that he was a part of a special project. It's like, well, this guy held a title, right? Like you can go look it up. So, yeah, I'm trying to find a good old video of his, but kind of coming up blank right now.
No, you're good. I mean, I think who was else? I got another guy too that I'm looking up. I'm just confirming that this is his name, but I don't believe it is. But
are you talking about the guy that lost his arm?
No, it was actually some guy that's kind of disrespectful to say just some guy, because he definitely wasn't some guy. He was a big member of the CIA who actually died during COVID because of COVID. Apparently, this is what people say he died of. Um, and he was a big whistleblower when he retired from the CIA. And like, I'm bringing this guy up because you said like, hey, when someone comes out who has credibility, right? It's like that's much different than what some freaking streamer says is, oh, I've found this evidence and this is what I think is going on, right? When someone with credibility comes out and someone with that's a pretty high person or high stage in the massive government, it's like, okay, I feel like this person has probably seen things and knows things. And this guy came out, and this is super kind of off topic. This is not having anything to do with the alien hybrids at all. I'm just more so saying, hey, this guy's the same as this kind of like this guy. He came out and spoke a bunch about adrenochrome and said that
Oh,
it's
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was one of the ones that talked all about the human traffic. I know exactly what you're talking about now.
yeah, I mean, he spoke to other like prime ministers of other countries. Like he was on big stages talking about this stuff. And I have a bunch of bookmarks saved by him on X, but yeah, it's my other account. But like, yeah, this guy talked in detail like about stuff, and this guy was, I want to say, one of the directors of the CIA. I want to say he was that high. He was really high in the CIA. And so going back to what we were both talking about, it's like, dude, when someone with that stature says things like that, it's like, man,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean it's legit. Yeah, who was this guy? I found it here, Troy. I found the video of it. It's who was this guy?
I think isn't it 3 names? He's got 3 names, right? It's like I know exactly what he looks like, but for some reason I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here on Twitter here. I can actually share my screen just so everyone can see. I just looking for the name to pop up. So
Okay.
Here. It's this guy right here.
Yes, this guy. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
I knew who you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, try to find his name here. But in the meantime, there's someone else that I'm trying to think of the name of. Darn, if you. That's the cool thing is like I'm surprised here by what we're talking about, but like the downer is like, man, there's a couple names that I need to get right. Paul Hellyer is one of them though. To anyone that's watching this or watching the recording, I would encourage you to go watch some original Paul Hellyer videos on YouTube and his disclosures. In fact, yeah, you can actually, yeah, that's a good one right here. There's a Joe Rogan clip on Paul Hellyer. Yeah, that's a good one to watch. But
Janie, pull that up.
Yeah, but yeah, great videos on YouTube. I would just go pull up Paul Hellyer and watch what he had to say as far as UFO disclosure. But there's another guy too that was pretty famous. This guy supposedly lost his arm in a firefight with aliens. Right? Like,
Wow.
They were doing government contracting work where they were digging down deep within the ground, and apparently that's where these Greys lived. And they ended up engaging in a firefight, and some of his guys died, and he lost his arm. And like he doesn't have an arm, so now who knows if that's what actually happened? But like he gives presentations, and he doesn't have an arm. Why can I not find this? Why is this in a time where they are trying to do like what might even be fake alien disclosure, but they're pushing it everywhere? Can I just see the guy that's been blowing the whistle on this forever?
Well, in the meantime, while you look for that,
yeah,
I also know one of Donald Trump's family members. Is it Kai Trump? I don't know exactly who it is, but
there it is.
Okay, he found it. We'll get back into my point after this.
It's Phil Schneider. Okay. Phil Schneider. Yeah, Schneider. But yeah, he allegedly says, well, he says allegedly that he was at a deep underground military base in Dulce, New Mexico, doing, uh, digging and stuff, and um, that's when they encountered these Greys that were already living there, like in their own little base deep within the earth. Um, and yeah, he says 66 of his soldiers died, but he was hit with a beam that hit him that burned off his
Interesting
his
amount.
arm.
It's 66, huh? That's an interesting amount.
It is. Um, yeah. But yeah, why are you thinking the Freemason double the 33
I don't know, brother. I mean,
or just
I look at so many things that have happened, and like
symbolism? Yeah, you just,
yeah, the numerical symbolisms on some of these events are so crazy. It's just like, yeah, like I get it could happen, it's random, but like, man, there's just so many things that are like 6 6, or like something adds up to a certain number, and then that number means something. It's like I don't know what's real anymore.
yeah. Well, and apparently, I think Phil Schneider even talked about adrenochrome as well at one point. Um, I want to say I could be wrong, so I don't want to get this wrong.
Yeah.
But I want to say that maybe he was one of the first ones to link the idea of like harvesting um, blood and stuff for um, these deep underground aliens and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, he's got some good videos on YouTube. So yeah, Paul Hellyer and Phil Schneider.
How do you spell Hellier?
Paulhellyer. Hellyer.
One L in Hellier.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just putting the names in the chat in case anybody's watching and they actually want to Google these guys. But yeah, I mean, what we were saying, the reason I kind of got down this alien hybrid rabbit hole is because one of Trump's family members said on a podcast that Donald Trump was in the process of presenting a speech announcing the life form, or announcing that there is extraterrestrial life forms out there, and there's also spaceships from extraterrestrial life forms. Now,
Who was this? Was this Kai, the golfer,
it,
the girl?
I think it was Kai. It was one of his family members. I don't know exactly which one it was. I can't remember, but I believe she said it on a podcast, which is kind of hard to believe that she would say something like that on a podcast, because that's incredibly important news. But that's just what I read on X. And I mean, ever since, I mean, okay, let's hold on. I know I kind of want to dissect that, but I just want to say before we do, ever since the White House came out 2 weeks ago with photos of UFOs, and this is what we talked about in last week's episode too, like my X has been flooded with apparent experiments being done in like Saudi Arabia and like all of these just like random underground bunkers in other countries. It's just like, okay, you're not going to believe all of them, right? But it's like, man, some of these look interesting. It's like, I don't know what to believe with these videos or what to believe with these photos, but like some of these are now that like I it's tough though, because I think for anyone to say they don't believe aliens or extraterrestrial life are confirmed not real, I think that's irresponsible to say. I think
Yeah.
that is.
I mean, yeah. Uh, I mean, we obviously don't have proof, but I think the government does. But I don't know that. But here's the thing. I actually don't know that I'm. I mean, who knows? Could they be interdimensional beings, Troy? Like, because I don't like. Are they from other planets? Are they from other star systems? If so, then that means they either can live for millions of years, or that means they're able to bend time and space and reality that we know and understand of physics. Which I'm not saying that we fully understand physics and that we've completed everything. We obviously haven't. Um, but Yeah, no, so I don't know. I mean, but then it's like, so could they be interdimensional? Like, to me, the idea that there's another dimension, just, with string theory and what all they've proven there, like, that, there's at least 9 different dimensions, and, the third dimension can't really view 2 dimensions past it, so it's like, well, that one to me could be interesting. Um, who knows? I mean, this is where it gets crazy, right? Like, what is.
It's hard to comprehend. Like it's hard to think that it's hard to even imagine that something living could have been around for that long, right? Because we're obviously so used to living what maybe if we're lucky 70 years. So it's like it's hard to imagine anything. I mean, and dude, we've seen like have you seen the famous photos too, like the famous paintings, like some of the most famous paintings ever, and them like with like the random things in the sky and them like pointing to the sky. It's
Well,
like
even before paintings, right? You've got hieroglyphics, right,
right,
all around the world in different tombs and caves and whatnot, on different continents, where those folks were separated by, you know, thousands of miles and land masses, right? Like you're, it's just hard to believe. And then the idea that, I mean, the question is, who came up with the very first alien gray? Like the very first person that said, "Here's what I think." You know what I mean? Like, where did they get the inspiration for that from? That's actually something we should ask. I'm gonna actually ask ChatGPT. Let's just
and
see
yeah,
what ChatGPT has to say about where did the first alien gray image come from?
what is this? It says the Madonna. While you're looking that up, I'm looking up like famous paintings with UFOs in them, and like Google's giving me like a bunch of different. And this one is man. I wish I could share my screen, dude. I'm not sure why I can't.
Interesting. So ChatGPT, which this is another interesting one to talk about because of
I'm so stupid.
when
Sorry,
this
buddy.
happened.
I realized what I was doing wrong. I'm so stupid.
Oh.
It's been a
were
long
you
day.
were you trying to click presentation instead of screen?
No, I wasn't clicking on what I wanted it to show.
Oh.
Fuck, dude. Don't, don't. Yeah, go on, dude. I'll go.
So there's
Yeah.
there's two there's two that ChatGPT's come back with. So the very first description, well, one of the early, not the very first, I guess, but one of the earliest descriptions of an alien abduction, and the description of the alien came from Betty and Barney Hill back in 1961. Are you familiar with that story, Troy?
Possibly. The names sound familiar.
The reason this is significant is because Betty was a white woman and Barney was a black man, and this was in 1961. So this was during a time where interracial
Yep.
marriages were not very common.
Yep.
And this is not something where if you were in an interracial marriage, you're probably not looking to draw massive amounts of attention to yourselves for no reason, right? Like, could be wrong about that, right? No one knows true intentions, but it's just kind of something that, you think about the time. It was interesting. And the story is that they were both driving home one night and they saw this UFO like up in the sky that was essentially following them. And then as they like turned around and tried to go different ways so that they weren't just going home, and essentially this UFO continued to follow them, and got to the point where it was about 100 feet or so above their car. Um, and then they say after this that like they pulled over. Barney grabs his binoculars, steps out of the car, and sees these figures looking at him through the craft's windows. Interesting that the craft would have windows, though. Um, you know, he says he's panicked by a beeping sound, runs off to the car, and speeds off. Next thing you know, apparently neither one of these to remember exactly what happens outside of that they wake up in like inside of a craft, both separated from one another, naked, and being tested on by these aliens, right? Doing like medical tests, etc. Right? Essentially, this is where the first probing thing came from, right? Um, and this is when uh, they afterwards described what these beings looked like. And this was kind of that first description of like similar to a human build in the sense that they have arms, legs, a torso, a head, but big eyes. So not exactly like what you see with a gray today, but like kind of that's that type of description, right? And that's the story, you know. So that's I don't know. That's a lot of people say it's fake, but it's one of the more famous UFO stories. And you know, listen, they they were harassed. They got traumatized for that. I mean, uh, anyone that thinks I don't know, like it doesn't sound to me like when you look off of it that they ended up making tons of money off this. This probably ultimately ended up probably being more of a net negative for them in terms of how it impacted their lives afterwards. So that's another story. But that's where they said the first description of the gray came from. And then the second one, sorry that this has taken a bit to get through, is Whitley Strieber's book Communion in 1987. Um, the book cover shows the now famous pale being with a huge bald head and black almond shaped eyes. So, interesting.
She definitely got that off of UFO.com. But just what's interesting about it is like I always thought that the common depiction of a gray came much earlier than 1961. Right, like I thought that depiction of what a classic UFO that you get off UFO.com came out like hundreds of years ago, or like 100 years ago, or something. So for it to only be 60 years old is pretty alarming to me. And then secondly, like you said, they probably did more harm than good for them to even come out with that story. Because you got to imagine too, like before like LSD and all these massive drugs were hitting in the late 60s, like you could still probably imagine people could say, oh, well, it was still 61, like they were still on something. Right. So like,
Fair. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm just trying to look at it from both sides. You know, I'm not saying it's true or not saying it's
No,
false.
yeah,
But
no,
it's
for
like,
sure.
you know, and kind of, and like, so back to what I was talking about as far as like, guys, these, these photos of aliens have been in paintings for, I mean, centuries. Centuries ago, this stuff has been. And I'm going to share my screen here because I actually figured out how to do it properly. And so I will try to zoom in the best I can here. This is called the painting Madonna of the UFO. And you can see here, the painting is round. I don't know if it's zooming in for us. But the painting is round and 1 meter in diameter and is adorned with a precious golden frame. It is located in the Hall of Hercules on the second floor of the Palazzo Vecchio, sorry if I butchered that, which takes its name from the coffered ceiling depicting the 12 labors of Hercules. And as you can see from this photo, you can see this person with 2 children and looks like an infant. And in the back there, you kind of got something going on here in the back there, right? So then you go down here, and this is what it's depicted as. Obviously, UFO experts say that this goes to show that UFOs have been around for a long time. And I actually did a Google search on this painting, and this painting was made in the 15th centuries, which dates back to the 1400s. So, and
Wow.
right, and I've done some more research on some of these paintings too that have dated back even centuries beyond this. So from what we were saying to kind of start this out, it's like it's hard. It's just like apparently these things have been whether they're extraterrestrial lives or not. These things have been cited for 500 to 700 years at the very least. Right. So it's like I take it for
Yeah,
what
no,
you will.
it's like what we talked about. The question would then come to be like, does that mean that are there beings on the craft, or is it more of just a probe or a drone that's out there to
Right.
observe or both, right? It could come and observe and be like, hey, these things are really stupid. We need to come and help them out, and then they show up, you know, shortly after. Um, who knows? But because the part that I'm not on board with is like if these aliens are showing up, right? Like why? I'm not on board with like the crafts going down or them crashing or us shooting them down or anything like that. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
No.
If they're that sophisticated in terms of being able to bend reality and time, they're not fucking crashing. And if
Right.
and if they've got that kind of technology, we're not shooting it down. I'm sorry.
And for as incredibly smart as these beings are supposedly supposed to be, and they've mastered the power of space travel, you're telling me that we have the weapons to shoot down one of these things? I don't believe we do. And if we do, it's hard to believe they don't have some form of defense to stop that. Right. Like
Yeah.
it's especially for things that have been around for as long as they've supposedly been around for. You're gonna tell me they haven't developed something to stop being shot at by something? Like I do believe I am on board with you with that too. It's
Yeah.
hard to believe. It's hard to believe.
And we're seeing. I mean, you saw the meme. Did you see the meme the other day with Donald Trump walking with the jacked alien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Like I
chains
mean,
on his legs and on his feet and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
it is funny. Like, but it's like, what's going on? They're saying we're gonna get some disclosure on this, and the question is why now? Like, what is going on? Like, obviously you can say it's a big distraction, but from the wars, but like, dude, if you're about to give us alien disclosure, doesn't that like put an end to wars? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't that all of a sudden put an end to the war?
I mean,
Like,
not just that. Like, think about all the other news we've gotten too in the last like month or two. It's been UFOs. It's been the escalated war with Iran. It's been this Hanavirus crap. It's been the Disney, uh, the the sex scandal with those Disney people. Like, there's just been a lot of stuff coming out within the last few months, and I'm sure I've missed a few.
yeah, well, I mean, there'd be 100 times more if they would have just let the Epstein files out, right? I mean, let's just be honest. Like that,
Yeah,
don't know why we're holding
yeah.
that back. Which, speaking of which, sad day yesterday. Thomas Massey lost in Kentucky, so
Mm.
clearly the Epstein class wanted to spend over $30 million to stop a guy from winning a primary. So for a
Yeah.
Congress seat, I mean that's boy, interesting.
Don't worry, it's part of the 60D chess move, dude. It's all gonna
Yeah.
work out. But I don't know, man. I've been thinking, I mean, we kind of there's a lot of stuff we talk about in the group chat that we don't really sometimes display on here, and for good reason. But I think there's there's something that I'm very very interested and somewhat passionate about, and that's true crime, criminology, um, behavioral psychology, and ultimately this all leads into serial killers, which I am going somewhere with this, which is going to tie into my conspiracy pod, by the way. So I'm not falling down any sort of weird rabbit hole or getting off topic. Um, and I think mostly everybody that knows about serial killers or is at least a little familiar with true crime knows about the Manson murders in the 60s.
Yep.
Now, for those of you that don't know who Charles Manson is and that is watching this pod, Charles Manson was not actually a serial killer. He was more so a psychopath master manipulator that manipulated his followers in his Manson cult to commit murders.
Yep.
And so, for emphasis, again, Charles Manson did not kill a single person in these murders, but he was the mastermind behind the plan of the murders. And And how these people get followers to commit to their cults is that's what they're good at. They're good at finding people that are lost, that are looked past in society. A lot of homeless people, a lot of drug addicts, a lot of alcoholics, people with addiction problems. They find these people and they convince them that, hey, you are here for a purpose. You are here for something, and I'm going to show you what that purpose is. They completely brainwash them. They completely brainwash their speech patterns. They completely brainwash how they think, and they completely brainwash what they do in their everyday lives. It is an absolute mastermind of humiliation. It's complete brainwash. And so Manson did that with, I believe, 8 or 9 people, and that was their cult. And he convinced these people to murder other people. And the reasoning behind it is Charles Manson believed, and this is what has been described in many books, but this has since been questioned. Charles Manson's goal behind this was he believed that there was going to be a race war that was starting between the whites and the blacks, and evidently the blacks would need a white man to lead them in this race war, and that would be Charles Manson. And so he sought out to murder some famous people at the time, and it's regarded as the most famous person ever murdered, Sharon Tate. Her and other, I believe, friends were in her house when they were brutally murdered by the Manson family. And there's so many theories and conspiracies as to why this actually happened compared to 1960 7 or whenever this happened. I'm a little off on my date here. But basically, you look at Charles Manson and he looks nuts, right? You read anything about him, you read any autobiography about Charles Manson, you read any FBI profile that interviewed this guy. Like, this guy was clearly not right. I mean, he had a Nazi symbol tattooed on his forehead. So, I mean, he wasn't great. But if you dig deep enough, really, really deep enough, it is alleged that Charles Manson was a CIA informant. And
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to get in, and that's why I explained exactly what happened with the Charles Manson murders. And Jake, you know about this as well. I want to hear your thoughts on Manson possibly being a CIA informant.
Yeah, well, so I do think, I don't know that if he was necessarily an informant or just someone that they were like utilizing in a program that had gone wrong. Because what's interesting is there's somebody that, who is this? I think his name is Chase. Yeah, Chase Hughes. Do you know who Chase Hughes is, Troy? He's been on a bunch of podcasts. Let's see. So yeah, basically, Chase Hughes. He's been on a bunch of podcasts, been on like PBD, Joe Rogan, Sean Ryan, bunch of big podcasts where, and what he is he was a behavioral like expert for. Was it this? It wasn't the CIA. I forget who it was for, but anyways, I'll figure that out in a minute. But he's got some really good content where he talks about how Charles Manson and the CIA are linked, and that he was basically an operative, and he was basically messed up through a bunch of mind control experiments that the CIA was using, MK Ultra, etc.
Yep.
And they then had him do it on these other girls, essentially.
Yep.
So
that's where I wanted to get to with this, because I knew you were aware of this as well.
Yeah.
And allegedly, the CIA has been using MK Ultra for at least 70 years now. And pretty much what MK Ultra is brainwashing. If this is actually what's going on. Again, this is alleged, but it's the same, almost exactly what Charles Manson was doing to his followers. And this is not to say that cults aren't real. Cults are absolutely real. And the cult leaders are just because you're a manipulative psychopath does not mean you've been subjected to MK Ultra. I just want to point that out. Right, but the rumor has it is that this was going on in the 60s, and that was a dangerous time for the CIA. Right, you think about everything that was going on in the 60s with racism and the hippie movement. And the hippie movement is what scared the crap, is one of the things that scared the crap out of the CIA. And who was a hippie? Charles Manson was a massive hippie. And
Do you know this guy, Troy?
no, I do not.
Oh man. All right.
I've never even seen
Audience.
him, to be honest.
It's always weird when we're on a podcast and we're like directing people to another podcast to go listen to someone, but man, I'm telling you, this guy right here has got some great episodes on some podcasts, whether it's, Sean Ryan, Patrick Bet David, Joe Rogan. There's plenty of other ones he's been on, I'm sure, as well. Like Diary of a CEO. I'm sure he's been to some other ones too, but man, he is a former Navy intelligence officer, and he spent 20 years. He's a behavioral expert, Troy, and he talks all about mind control. And dude, that's an expert on the topic. Like, man, I really want this pod to grow here so that one day, and let me just put this out in the open for everyone to. It's Chase, not Charles Hughes. Troy.
Oh, Chase?
Yeah, Chase.
I was thinking of Charles Manson.
Yeah. The nice thing to remember about some of these names are some of my friends' names, right? Phil Schneider.
Yeah.
Chase Hughes. But, man, I'm telling you, he's got some really great content on behavioral science, on the history of the CIA, on stuff that's going on right now. I'd highly encourage you to check him out. He helps. Yeah, it's fantastic. Fantastic content. But one day, I guess what I was getting to is I want our pod to grow so that Chase Hughes is on here. Because be a great guy to ask some questions too.
Dude, there'd be so many people that, man, dude, I can't even think of like the list of who I would love to have on this pod. Like, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah, it's like whether we're doing conspiracy that day or sports, right? Because I'm like, man, I got a list for both.
dude, seriously, like I would want to have John Douglas on one day. I don't know if anybody is familiar, if you're familiar with John Douglas, but for anybody that doesn't know who John Douglas is, he was one of the very first FBI profilers for the behavioral science unit back in the 80s when they first started. It's now called the BAU, the Behavioral Analysis Unit. Him and a gentleman named Robert Ressler or Kessler, I believe it was Ressler, started the BAU together and have grown it. Now it's almost 50 years old. And they were the very first behavioral profilers for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So John Douglas is, I believe, close to 80 years old at this point. But if we're ever lucky enough and blessed enough to grow this pod, he would be one of the first people that I would love to talk about. I've bought so many of his books. I'm currently reading another one of his books right now. Guy was so smart, man. Still is so smart. And yeah, man, just would love to have him.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's just shoot the shit here for a minute. What else has been going on that we want to talk about? I mean, I think what's interesting about the UFO stuff is like either just tell us what we know, like what you. I don't think they were expecting us to not really give that big of a shit. You know what I mean? Like, is it just me, or have they kind of like hinted that they like, are gonna disclose some stuff about UFOs, and I think they're wanting us to like lose our minds, but like most people are like, yeah, whatever. Is it just me? Like, I think you and I care. We're not like, yeah, whatever. But right now, I'd argue the general person, like, they kind of see the headline, they're like, oh yeah, okay, aliens.
So I think there's multiple facets of this. I think the first facet is, I think if this was released 20 years ago, it would have been a bigger shitstorm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But because we're exposed to so much information nowadays, and we've been exposed, we've gone through so much crap in the last 5 years, and we've heard a lot about UFOs to this point that I don't think I don't know the percentage, but I would say some percentage of the people, it's not that big a deal as it could have been years ago. And then I think the second facet to this is I think when again the percentage of people, not sure what that percentage is, think of UFOs, they think of a flying saucer or something flying in the sky. And to them, that might not be the craziest thing. But if you really did some research and you could actually see what these things could possibly do and what is being apparently given to us as far as some of the information, it is like what we just went
Like
over.
what? Oh, okay, yeah.
Like what we just went over. I'm not saying that is absolutely true, but like the possibilities of it is, I think, because we've never been in contact, at least the average human being has never been in contact with one of these things if they are real. So I think when people think of UFOs, like I said, I think they think of something flying in the sky and maybe a gray body with a big almond face, right? That's what people think. But like the actual capabilities of what these are, like if they came out and said, yes, these are real, like I think that's much more scarier and that would be much more of a bigger thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Being like, hey, yeah, we don't know what these flying saucers are. Like, they're probably drones from another species, from a different or from a different galaxy. Like, that's one thing. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, that's kind of scary because they could just probably wipe us out. But they could be like, listen, from everything that we've seen, like they probably already could have and haven't for 60 years. So it's
Right.
like that they're probably not meaning harm. The bigger question is if we've already encountered actual species of aliens that have walked on this earth and whether or not they're actually doing harm, right? Like if the stories are true, that because we probably could have got into this at the beginning, but at least my understanding of what they talk about with like those four species that they claim to be true, right, is that or claim to be real, is that some of them are like malevolent and some are benevolent. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, like are the Greys? Because from what I've understood is that the Nordics and the Greys don't really want to do us any harm. Apparently, the reptilians feed on us or something, or want to do harm.
Yep.
Don't really know anything about the insect-looking thing. I never heard anything about that. I heard that there was another one called the Tall Whites, which are similar to the Greys, but like way taller. That are like 7 feet tall, and they're all white, but they still kind of look like humanish.
What the hell is the Nordic? Like I don't need that.
Yeah, and that the Nordic is apparently, and by the way, yeah, like that's the one that is like the human-looking one. That's interesting because it's like, well, is that even an alien, or are we aliens at that point? Are we from the similar? You know what I mean? Like, did they just send us here to populate this planet?
Yeah, because that looked exactly like a human being. That looked like almost like a goddess, like human being. Like,
Yeah, no, it was weird.
that thing looked like something from like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or something. Like,
Yeah, you want to pull it back up real quick? Like, let's
I'll-
just talk about it real quick. Let's just show it. If we're gonna talk about it, right? Let's just.
pull you back up
Okay.
on my
Well,
lap. Let me see here.
you've been working out, so you might be able to. Yeah, that thing, right? So
This thing.
yeah,
Look at
so
this.
like yeah, so
Like,
what is that?
Look at this. Like that. Like you could be like, okay, these are aliens, but like this looks just like a regular human being. Like, does it not?
Yeah, no, I mean that would make you think that, you know. Yeah, I mean that's a human, like to me. But so if they're not from Earth, it's like, well, then where are we from? Are we from here, or did they like seed the Earth, or what? You know.
Yeah, and dude, I've only heard about the
Like-
Greys, this thing on the far left, and the reptilian hybrid right here. I have never even heard of the insect praying mantis looking thing and a Nordic. The only Nordic I've ever heard of, even the name, is that's a Yu-Gi-Oh card type in the card game
Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh for anybody watching. Like Nordics are a Yu-Gi-Oh type of card. Like that's the only thing. And let me tell you, they look nothing like this thing. Like they look nothing like this thing. Let me try to see if I can actually pull up a picture of a Nordic Yu-Gi-Oh card to show you how this looks nothing like this
Well, I
much.
mean, the Nordics were the old, like, you know, like Vikings. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, uh, and again, I mean, whatever we call them, but Troy, you can actually. The only time I heard about these from like a World War II conspiracy one time, where it was like, hey, the reason that because the question was like, well, Hitler didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, right? So the whole question was, well, like, why was that the master race, and where did that come from? And so there was like a whole conspiracy that like the Nazis had alien tech, right?
Hmm.
Like UFO tech, or that they were obsessed with Antarctica and they were obsessed with alien technology and UFOs that they had encountered.
Yep.
But apparently, that's where that blonde hair, blue eyes stuff come from. Obviously, no way to know if that's real. I mean, anyways. But my question to you is, where are you at with that? Like, what percentage do you? Because like the way that I always like to look at things is like pretty much for almost nothing am I like, oh yeah, I know I'm 100% there. I believe that that's 100% true. So like part of it, but like what percentage of you is like, yeah, no, I believe that to be true versus, yeah, I don't know if that's what's going on. Like where are you, like 50-50, you 60-40, like where are you at with that?
Like for those four hybrids to be real,
Yeah,
or
like that specifically, not just aliens. Because if we're talking just aliens, like I'm way further along. But specifically that there's like four races that are like doing like that are among us or whatever. Where are you at with that?
let's just say I believe that the government was. I believe more that the government was involved in the JFK assassination than I do with four alien life forms, different types. I'll say that much. And I also agree with you that I believe in just
That's not fair
aliens.
though, because I feel like they were like 100%. I'm like, well, I just said I'm not. I'm like
I
ninety
know.
nine percent there. That the so like, but so what are
I
you? Are you
know.
50
I
50?
was being
I know.
facetious
I know.
here.
I
I
know.
know. No, as far as the four different types, I'm probably like 5%. Like
Okay.
yes, that's real because that's really really far out there. I'm definitely more above like I would say 50% that like there's something out there in another galaxy that we've never experienced. That's where I'm at more. So,
Okay. I'd say I'm probably actually further than you on that then, because I'm probably at like 20 to 30% that
hmm,
there's like the four, or at least multiple, right? Like I don't know about those four specific, and that they've got it like.
yeah.
I gotta trust that some random ass account on Twitter that no one knows is like got the four perfect from some AI generated photo, right? Like that's obviously not going to be exactly what it looks like. But do I believe that there's at least like one or more potential um, species that have been among us? Yeah, yeah. I think I'm probably like 20 to 30% there. As far as like what percentage do I think there's something else that we don't know about? So, and here's the part where I'm willing to reserve it because I don't know, and I said this last week. Like I don't know that I'm willing to separate um, the idea of angels and demons from extraterrestrial life. Like to me, like I'm not exactly convinced that those aren't one and the same. And I'm not saying that as though that the religious texts are wrong. Like that's what makes me actually start to like really want to get more involved with that, because it's like, well, you really just start applying different synonyms for words, and like you're like, well, what they're describing is very similar, so what would that be? You know what I'm saying? So now it makes you think like, okay, are these things, um, if they're real, are they harmful? Are they here to trick us? Are they, like there's all these different things that start to pop into my head, right? So, um, but how far am I that there's something else, some other phenomena that we don't know about? I'm probably like 90% there,
Yeah.
maybe more.
No, totally.
Um,
It's like I think, dude, it's like I was saying. I find it actually. I get kind of annoyed when people are like they automatically say no, aliens aren't real. It's like how could you? you accurately say that? How could anyone accurately say that? Because you're just so convinced that you've been on Earth so long that human beings are the only living life form out there out of the planets that we probably haven't even discovered yet. The rest of the galaxy we haven't discovered yet, and this also has to do with like, you're gonna tell me that the animals in the ocean that we've seen are the only animals in the ocean that are out there? That's another thing. Like, we don't know. We've never experienced what's in the deepest depths of the ocean. It's like, so you're gonna tell me what you've seen is all that's out there? That's very irresponsible for someone to say. So no, I think there's a lot of stuff out there that we haven't even discovered yet. And to say that human beings are the only beings out there is, I don't think that's a good thing to say. So,
Yeah, and I mean now it starts to lend a lot more credibility to some of the other stories, right? Some of the other whistleblowers from before, right? I mean, what you should start to do is like, at least like the way that my brain starts to work is, I've got like this overarching idea of some extraterrestrial alien or angel demon phenomena, right? And now it's like, okay, now take everything else that we've heard and start trying to piece how that all fits together, right? The pieces of the puzzle, right? From the Bob Lazar alien craft to the Paul Hellyer disclosing about the different species. You got to look into that tonight, Troy. I'm telling you, that's a good one. I know you go to bed early because you get up at like 3 a.m., but man,
2:30, bro.
2:30, yeah. And then I'm telling you, dude, Phil Schneider, his story. I mean, dude, that guy was talking about that back in 1995, Troy. And he's a geologist. Like, we know that these deep underground military bases exist, right? The question is, do you think there's anything living deep within them? Which, by the way, in the historical text, the biblical text, where did the demons come from? Underground. Where was hell? Deep in the, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something to
And
think about.
and you know, like, I know we're gonna close this out in a few minutes, but like, you know, you were talking about angels and demons and kind of how aliens or possibly some form of life may relate to that. And whether you don't believe, not you personally, I'm just saying people in general.
Yeah, the
What,
chat.
yeah, whether people in general, the chat, like, don't believe in them as like physical entities, I can tell you, I'm not that old, but angels and demons are there with you every day. And people are going to say, that sounds crazy. What are you talking about? I'm talking about, everybody is faced with the right decisions and the bad decisions they can make every day.
Oh yeah, tell
That
them.
is that is why God gave everybody free will to make any choice you want. And I struggle with it every day myself. I struggle with angels and demons. I struggle with, knowing what I should do, but there's still the devil or the demon on my left shoulder that says, you should be doing this. This is what you should be doing. So whether you think these things are real or not and how they relate to some sort of physical entity, I can tell you spiritually, I do firmly believe they are there.
Yeah, and it's as simple as acting through selfishness, greed, you know, all that leads to temptation. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So I get what
Temptation,
you're saying. Yeah,
absolutely,
I totally get what you're
absolutely.
saying, right?
Yep.
It's just, whether you're wanting to make the right decision or the selfish, greedy decision, right? Um,
Yep.
so, which is one of the seven deadly sins, right? Greed. Um,
Yep. And I
and
absolutely thank Elsa, my wife, for getting me more involved in um, God and the Bible and learning scripture and all that, man. So I highly advise people to look into those things and make the right decisions. But trust me, man, even though you make the right decisions, you're still gonna have the devil on your left shoulder telling you not to make the right decision and go and do this instead. So um,
or the alien. Could be the alien.
or the alien. Maybe the devil's tugging on your left shoulder and the alien's tugging on your back hair. I mean, who knows? You know,
Are you
could be
sure that's the hair it's tugging on?
could be tugging on your happy trail for all we know. We
All
don't
right.
know.
Well, getting descriptive. You are really getting all over the place with it tonight, Troy.
You know, I had some good energy tonight. I had
Yeah,
had a
well,
good dinner, you know, and it's feeding into this conversation.
yeah, well. All right. Well, anything else you want to say before we close it out there?
You have nice eyes.
You're stupid, dude.
That's no.
If
That's
it's
all.
not Alex doing it, it's you. We just can't go one podcast without this bullshit. But
No.
all right. Well.
No, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Well.
Follow us. Follow
Yep.
us.
Yep.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Well, it's X now. You know, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple, everywhere.
Yep. Just look for this Buffoons Podcast logo when you type in Buffoons
And,
Podcast all over social media, and that's where we are. So just
and
follow
let
us.
us know your thoughts. Like, I mean, you know, put it in the comments below. You know, if you don't think extraterrestrials are real, tell us what buffoons we are. And let us know your thoughts.
Oh yeah, I want to hear these thoughts. I legit do. So
All right. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you this weekend for sports podcast.
yeah,
Bye, everyone.
see you guys.